A family dispute escalated into an all-out brawl in the Mickey's Toontown section of Disneyland on July the 6th of 2019. A video recorded by an uninvolved bystander captured the entire ordeal and subsequently went viral. The footage showed a man in a pink shirt identified as Avery Robinson, aged 35, aggressively shouting at a woman pushing a stroller, who was later revealed to be Avery's 40-year-old sister, Andrea Robinson. Andrea spits in her brother's face, triggering a physical altercation between the two siblings that also came to involve Andrea's husband, Damon Petrie. Avery's girlfriend also intervened in the struggle after she'd initially attempted to break up the fight. Punches were thrown from all sides as onlookers gathered around the skirmish. A few people even tried to step in and stop the violence as shown at various stages of the 4-minute video. An elderly woman in a mobility scooter, identified as Avery's mother, was knocked over at one point, while the children in the stroller were pulled out of harm's way by concerned witnesses. When park security finally showed up at the scene, the incident had already come to a conclusion. Upon being interviewed by Anaheim police, members of the Robinson family outright denied that a fight between them had ever taken place. Their assertions were promptly disproven when the authorities got a hold of the viral video chronicling the brawl. All three of the individuals primarily responsible for the altercation were criminally charged, with Avery Robinson being sentenced to 6 months in prison in February of 2020. Andrea Robinson and Damon Petrie failed to show up for their trials, and warrants were then issued for their arrests. They faced maximum sentences of 2.5 years and 6 months in jail, respectively. Number 7. Heidi Creamer and Holly Ryan. On December the 7th of 2014, a 48-year-old Florida woman assaulted her twin sister after the two got into a dispute over an adult toy. Heidi Creamer shared an apartment in Bradentown with her boyfriend and her sister, Holly Ryan. The two siblings reportedly had some sort of heated disagreement that afternoon regarding Creamer's partner and an intimate device she owned. Creamer escalated the argument by physically attacking her sister. Ryan was punched, scratched, and her hair was pulled over the course of the altercation. Creamer then gathered all of her belongings and brought them outside, at which point Ryan locked her sister out of the apartment. The injured woman went out on the balcony and began calling out to her neighbors for help. The authorities were contacted, and the police officer who arrived at the scene found a bloodied Ryan still on the balcony. Creamer was subsequently arrested and taken to Manatee County Jail. She had previously faced charges of drunk driving and assault in connection to unrelated incidents from her past. Number 6. Solange Knowles and Jay-Z. After attending a Met Gala after-party on May the 5th of 2014, Brooklyn rap mogul Jay-Z was violently attacked by his sister-in-law, Solange Knowles, in the elevator of a Manhattan hotel. Surveillance footage from the hotel security cameras was subsequently distributed online by tabloid news outlet TMZ. The video depicted the rapper still donning the white tuxedo he'd worn to the gala as he is repeatedly punched and kicked by an enraged Knowles. All the while, his wife, renowned music artist Beyoncé, watched on. Knowles was eventually pulled off by a bodyguard who was in the elevator with the celebrity trio. There were subsequent reports that Knowles had been involved in multiple bizarre interactions throughout the evening, including an argument with fashion designer Rachel Roy. At the post-gala event, Knowles had become intoxicated and belligerent. Tension soon boiled over in the elevator when Jay-Z made a remark to which Knowles took exception. While the incident was widely publicized due to the fame and popularity of the individuals involved, both Jay-Z and Knowles have consistently downplayed their feud significance in the years since. Number 5. Sylvester Ofori and Barbara Tomei. A pastor and self-proclaimed prophet by the name of Sylvester Ofori, aged 35, fatally shot his estranged wife outside the bank where she worked on September the 8th of 2020. The murder of 27-year-old Barbara Tomei occurred just a day after a heated confrontation between Ofori and Tomei's brother, during which the pastor claimed he would be a fake man of God if he didn't kill his wife. Ofori also referred to Tomei as a witch during the video-recorded shouting match. Tomei's brother advised her to file a police report following her husband's threat, but she expressed hesitancy to do so for fear of escalating the situation even further. An armed Ofori confronted Tomei at her place of work the following morning. Witnesses described seeing the man holding a firearm as he followed his wife to the front doors of the Navy Federal Credit Union in Orlando, Florida. Tommy knocked on the door hoping someone would let her inside, at which point Ofori fired multiple rounds into her head. He walked back to his car and drove away as if nothing had happened, according to bank patrons at the scene of the crime. Police officers were alerted and they found Ofori at his apartment. Later that day, he was arrested on a charge of first-degree murder. Number 4. Adam Roth. On March the 10th of 2020, a 36-year-old man named Adam Roth stabbed 4 of his family members, killing 2 of them while they were sharing a meal in the kitchen of their home in Waukesha, Wisconsin. Roth reportedly first took the knife to his wife, Dominique, stabbing her multiple times. As the rest of the family watched on in horror, Dominique's mother and her 2 sisters pleaded with Roth to stop, at which point he turned his attention towards the others and attacked them as well. The vicious onslaught led to the deaths of Roth's wife, sister-in-law, and the family dog, while his other sister-in-law and mother-in-law were both badly injured. In an interview with law enforcement the following day, Roth divulged the motivation for his gruesome crime. He had apparently grown increasingly paranoid that the coronavirus would infect his family, and the violent outburst was his purported way of saving them from the infectious disease. While he admitted to the attacks, Roth pleaded not guilty by reason of mental illness to multiple charges of first-degree murder and attempted first-degree murder. According to doctors ordered to evaluate Roth's mental health, the man had experienced a decline in his psychiatric stability in the period leading up to the deadly incident. Number 3. Jeffrey Burnham. A pharmacist named Brian Robinette was shot dead in Ellicott City, Maryland, by his brother, who claimed Robinette was killing people by administering them the COVID-19 vaccine. In addition to his brother, 46-year-old Burnham also claimed the lives of his sister-in-law and his mother's childhood friend, Rebecca Reynolds, during his deranged killing spree, which occurred on September the 30th of 2021. The first victim was Reynolds, aged 83. She was stabbed to death inside her home, after which Burnham absconded with her car, driving 2 hours in order to confront his brother. Police investigating Reynolds' murder found the stolen vehicle not far from Robinette's residence. When they went to the pharmacist's home to ask about his brother's whereabouts, they discovered that both Robinette and his wife had succumbed to fatal gunshot wounds. The ensuing manhunt for Burnham continued into the following week. He was eventually found in West Virginia and extradited back to Maryland. He was charged with multiple counts of first-degree murder. On several occasions prior to the deadly events, Burnham's mother had contacted the authorities to express concerns over her son's mental health and stability. Today's topic was requested by Susan Parker Productions, Endurance Goliath, and Aaron Walkup. If you have any other topics you'd like to learn about, subscribe and let us know in the comments section below. Number 2. Samuel Hannah and Calvin Scott. An argument over a scratched car ultimately led to the fatal stabbing of 43-year-old Calvin Scott of East Orange, New Jersey, on February the 8th of 2021. Based on an account given by Scott's soon-to-be niece, Clarissa Price, police were able to determine that the man's death was precipitated by a hostile altercation he'd had with Price's uncle, Samuel Hannah. Scott reportedly blamed Hannah for a noticeable scrape on his car, for which Hannah subsequently denied all responsibility. The argument devolved into a physical altercation between the two men after Scott punched Hannah over the alleged scratching. The situation took a deadly turn when Hannah retaliated by pulling out a knife and thrusting it into his attacker several times. Scott was taken to University Hospital in Newark, but eventually passed away from his wounds. 7 family members had been living under the same roof for more than a year prior to the incident. Price claimed that tempers had been running high in the weeks and days leading up to the stabbing as a result of the cramped living space, and Scott's death was an unfortunate byproduct of the rising tensions. Number 1. The Gomez family Thanksgiving. On Thanksgiving Day 2018, Martina Gomez, aged 63, was killed by her niece in the midst of a brutal family fight in Lawrence, Massachusetts. 23-year-old Modesta Gomez had become embroiled in an argument with her cousin on Snapchat earlier that evening. before eventually deciding to drive to the family home in order to confront her in person. When Modesta arrived, her cousin was already on the floor and engaged in a physical conflict with another female relative. Modesta took the opportunity to strike her cousin while she was distracted on the ground. Martina then intervened in the altercation by grabbing hold of Modesta's hair. During the ensuing fight between the two, a punch thrown by Modesta connected and knocked her aunt unconscious. The police were contacted and showed up to the Gomez residence at about 10 p.m. They were notified of the brawl that had transpired between the family members earlier in the evening, and they proceeded to perform CPR on an unresponsive Martina Gomez. The victim was promptly transported to Lawrence General Hospital, where she would later pass away from the injuries inflicted by her niece. Modesta left the house once the fight had ended, but upon learning she was wanted by the authorities, turned herself into the Lawrence Police Department. She was held in custody without bail as she awaited sentencing. Thanks for watching. Would you rather get in a relationship-ending fight with your best friend or spend every holiday alone for the rest of your life? Let us know in the comments section below.